Hello, and welcome to the We Recommend podcast, a movie podcast where every week we recommend a movie for you to watch, then come back here to listen to us discuss. I'm Jesse.
And I'm Jason.
And this tribunal is a mockery. Today we recommend Asteroid City.
Hell
Yeah. So this one's a little different because we both didn't see this before we recommended it. And so we're going to kind of start off where we're going to discuss the film a little bit in a non-spoiler way and then go into our regular type of podcast. So I want to know, Jason, what did you think about this movie?
I loved it. It ruled. I love all the Wes Anderson films that I've seen. Not all of them, but I haven't seen all of them, but the ones I have seen, I really do love.
Everything but Bottle Rocket, probably. Yeah,
maybe. I don't know. I couldn't name all 11 movies.
Yeah. So, what would you say are your top 3 Wes Anderson films?
I really loved The Royal Tenenbaums.
Yep.
That was my first kind of entry into
Number 1 with a bullet. Yep.
Yeah, it was so good. And then I would say this movie is in that top 3, and then the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yeah, that one's great.
I loved it a lot.
That was kind of, I think, that's his movie that got that connected with the most people, I guess. Grand Budapest did. It was, I think it was his highest grossing movie at that point, or I think still is, honestly.
Oh, it was super sweet.
Because his movies got weirder after that.
Weirder?
Isle of Dogs. I like that movie, though.
I haven't seen that one either.
You haven't seen Isle of Dogs?
Oh, yeah.
You'll love it. You and your kids will love it. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I guess my top 3 would be Royal Tenenbaums, obviously. Fantastic Mr. Jamie Foxx. That's a joke.
God, that one's
Fantastic
amazing,
Mr.
though.
Fox. Yeah.
I love that one.
I think that was the first one that
so
I was
good.
really like, this director rules.
Yeah.
And then the third one would be Moonrise Kingdom, which is, that one's got Bruce Willis, and it rules, and it
is good.
Love it.
I have
love
seen
it,
that
love
one.
it, love it, love it. So, Asteroid City. So if you haven't seen it yet and you want to know why did we recommend this, or what were our thoughts before we get into the film, it's a movie about grief and loss and kind of young love. It's also about a loss of a parent. It's got very deadpan comedy in it, and it's kind of also about flawed fathers.
What would you say deadpan comedy is?
I think it's
Kind of like
monotone, straight-faced.
Okay, gotcha.
You're not trying to look
Look
at me.
Not the mask.
Hey.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's no Jim Carrey comedy, you know?
Okay.
But so the initial plot, it's a bit of a complicated story. Or it's not complicated, but I guess it's dense. I don't know. I really wouldn't know how to explain
I think
it.
dense is a good.
It's just the construct of the movie is kind of complicated because it's a TV production about the making of a play, and the play is the colorful parts of the movie, like the Asteroid City part of the movie. But a lot of what the themes are set into the TV production, and yeah, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with all Jesse knowledge.
While you see the character Augie, played by Jason Schwartzman, what you're supposed to be seeing in his performance in Asteroid City is the emotions that he's feeling outside of the play.
Oh,
which,
interesting.
Because as we learn throughout the film, every time it cuts back to the TV production, we're learning a little bit about these characters, how they came to the play, and you're kind of supposed to put their emotions from that into the characters of Asteroid City.
Yeah, when I first started working at my job, they told me, "Don't bring your emotions to work." That is bullshit, y'all.
That's not what Wes Anderson does. He says, "Get that emotion in here."
We are not robots.
This is
people.
the arts, baby.
I love it.
We're nothing but emotional. But so if this is going to be your first Wes Anderson movie, which it may be, something you need to know is that the actors are almost like dolls in his film.
Oh, wow.
just
Yeah,
because
they are.
if you see them, the shots are always very symmetrical or they're very specific, I guess, how you say. They're always either in the center of the frame. It's usually just the camera's either staying still or it's on a very long dolly shot, just where, just the camera's moving, right?
So Jesse has a lot of lingo he learned from his degree in movies.
Yes.
Professor movie.
$20,000 of a degree that
You're using all the time.
and I probably remember $2,000 of that degree.
Oh man, I wish you could get that other part back.
Yeah, well, I guess I just didn't pay attention hard enough in school because I can't remember much of it.
It's okay. Most of it was like probably things we used to do and we don't do because they're bad.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's just one of those things. I'm just not a very smart person.
Bull
I
crap,
just
Jesse.
forget things very easily. I can barely talk, as we know, which is a great thing in a podcast.
I disagree.
Oh, before I forget, we actually have a shout out to do.
Ooh.
There's a podcast called No Subs, No Dubs, which is a podcast about that where a guy watches a movie without subtitles and without the dub of the film.
Is it in the same language that he speaks?
No.
Okay.
He watched foreign films and without any subtitles.
Wow. He just gets the feeling.
Yeah, he kind of goes through the plot of what he thinks that the plot is
Wow.
of the film.
That's neat.
It is, you have the main guy that talks on the podcast. His name is Casey Kidd, the Kamikaze Kid.
That's
what he goes
like a
by?
Western
And
hero.
he tries to recount/review an international film every week. The catch is he watches these movies without subs or dubs. It's it's spoiler filled. He's got a very talkative producer called Baka Boy.
Yep.
And he's blowing up all over this bitch, apparently. Kamikaze Kid is.
Way to go, Casey Kidd.
No, but it's a fun podcast. I gave him a listen. I listened to 2 or 3 of theirs. I mean, they cover Train to Busan, a movie that I hope to cover one day.
Oh, yeah.
Godzilla, Let the Right One In, the original OG Gorilla. The Fellini movie, 8.5, and IP Man. You brought that up in one of our podcasts. Yeah.
IP Man's cool.
Pan's Labyrinth. And
Fuck yeah.
he shouts us out in the movie Funny Games, which is a movie I actually owned.
Sweet.
He didn't like it that much. He gave it a soft 3. But yeah, go find, Spotify, I guess it's kind of everywhere. No subs, no dubs.
Cool.
They shouted us out. We're shouting them out and give them a listen, okay?
Collaboration.
Now, back to Asteroid City.
Yeah.
So, Wes Anderson, he has a ton of people in his films. I mean, we got Jason Schwartzman, Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks, Jeffrey Wright, Tilda Swinton, Bryan Cranston, Edward Norton, Adrian Brody, Liv Schreiber, Hope Davis, Stephen Park, Maya Hawke, Steve Carell, Matt Dillon, William Dafoe, Margot Robbie. And then there's just also a bunch of people that you don't really know much. You got the Sophia Lillis, who's the girl in It. I can't remember her name in It, but whatever.
Like, are you talking about the
Jeff
old
Goldblum?
movie It or
No,
the newer
the new one
version, like the
where
series?
she's the kid,
Okay.
the kid girl,
Oh,
the
gotcha.
girl, the losers or whatever they're called.
Yeah, and apparently in the books they had a situation.
Yeah, I listened to the audiobook and man, you can just tell his long books. It's like, you did cocaine.
He did a lot of cocaine.
You did some cocaine. No, it is pretty wild. You got like floating turtles in space and
Which I am all about.
Child orgy, which is
Super weird, and we're gonna move past that. And also, he did the cocaine.
some cocaine. But yes, so if you haven't watched this movie, Asteroid City, please do, and then come back and listen to us. But if you don't want to watch it, just continue to listen to us, hear us chat, and laugh about this awesome movie. And so, do you got anything else before we go into like our spoiler-y part?
Spoil the shit out of it.
I guess
go.
before we start spoiling it, Asteroid City, the whole film, the actual film part, the entire town was created by their production team. So it's
super sweet.
a bunch of miniatures. Like essentially, they're in a desert, and they created for the
man.
film all these
The whole
buildings
set
and
is
everything.
amazing,
Yeah.
and colorful, and beautiful, and just pleasing to look at all the time.
It's great. And so if you like kind of deadpan humor, very, I guess
And full frontal nudity.
yeah, ScarJo. All the guys are like, fast forward. No, but it's a great movie about loss and grief and coming to accept that and accepting that life continues and that even through with chaos all around us, we can still keep living, right? That's kind of what I grasped from it.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
I just like the first thing when I saw all the aesthetics and stuff, I thought it was it reminded me of the town that they built in the desert when they were testing atomic bombs to see how it affects humans.
The Manhattan Project.
Yeah. Thank you, last podcast on the left.
Yeah. And Oppenheimer.
And Oppenheimer, which I haven't seen yet, but I hope to soon.
Yeah. It's 3 hours of people talking. Gotta love it.
Love it.
And one bomb exploding. So let's get into
it.
The film. And this is our first time doing it. So mad at myself for not pressing record. Yeah. So the movie starts off as a TV show that is covering a play that we see as a film. It's narrated by Bryan Cranston. He explains that Asteroid City is a fictional place. We meet Conrad, the writer of the play Asteroid City. Conrad explains the settings of the characters. We see these dope shots of people kind of sitting backstage, and there's like 3 people in each shot, and he just goes one by one explaining who they are. They all look super handsome and attractive and great.
Yeah.
And we kind of see how the play looks before we get into the actual film, and we see it more realized as a movie.
Right, yeah.
Which is really cool.
It's all in black and white, and then when it changes the color, it's amazing.
Yeah, and it goes from being on stage to actual desert, which is great. Which is why the fact that the mountains and everything look so fake, kind of, because it's supposed to be a play, which is great.
It is cool.
The play is set in 1955. It's a 3-act play. Act 1 is day of. Act 2 is next day. Act 3 is a week later. And then we cut to a train driving on a railroad tracks, and we have like all the end credits playing over it as the opening credits, kind of like we used to do.
That was really cool. I love it when movies do this because it reminds me of movies like Dancing in the Rain and like
Singing in the Rain.
Yeah, that one too. That one was okay.
What's your favorite movie? Dancing in the Rain. What?
I haven't seen that one yet.
You're thinking of like you mix Singing in the Rain and Dancing in the Street together?
No, Singing in the Rain. Just like older movies that used to,
Do you know why we have end credits now?
No.
Star Wars. Because it has the scroll at the beginning, so they put all the credits at the end of the film. And now that's why we have end credits instead of opening credits.
Oh, wow. Wow,
this is
best Owen Wilson
guys,
impression.
you guys can't see this, but his head has cracked open and exploded all over the place. And now there's just a floating mouth talking because I just blew his mind. And the cool thing about this train is it's a mixture of a real train, miniature, and stop motion train, which is really cool.
It's real sweet.
And we have a Roadrunner, which is also kind of like a puppet type of Roadrunner.
Roadrunners explode when you hit them.
It looks super realistic as like an animal, but also at the same time, you can just tell that there's something like off about it, like it's a puppet. It's great. And we have this really long shot that's kind of panning around all over the town. And it's showing off the whole town. You have motels,
Everything
diner.
looks pristine.
Mm-hmm, looks perfect. It's the cleanest desert town in the history of the world.
It's like they just built it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like right that day.
And most importantly in this town is a giant crater where an asteroid fell. Hint, Asteroid City. And in the there's also this ramp next to the road that goes up and
it's like ready for a highway to be built.
Yeah,
right there.
but there is none, and it just literally stops, and there's no other ramp. There's no don't go in this.
You're like, this place is going to be big, and it's going to have a highway going through it.
Yeah,
you just wait.
Apparently, Jason Schwartzman, he on set loved to go up there and just sit, just because it can hold people. I was like, oh yeah, it's like it just looks so beautiful up there. Like, yeah, this whole place looks freaking beautiful.
That's gorgeous.
In the distance, we hear a car engine go out, and we see that a family of 4, 3 girls, a teen boy and a father get out. We meet Augie, who is Jason Schwartzman. He's the father. He goes to light his pipe, but it has no fluid, so he turns around to the gas pump guy, who fills up his lighter.
I love it.
And he immediately lights it up, and it doesn't explode. Oh, it's so funny. It's such a funny joke. And the three girls immediately go into the road and start playing. I was just like, that's such a classic kid thing to do.
Oh man, it's great.
Yeah.
And nobody cares. It's a safe town.
Well,
it seems to be a really safe town.
Yeah, it seems to be really safe. There's no constant car chase or atomic bombs anywhere.
Well, they would probably get out of the way.
Yeah, if they knew it at that point.
Yeah, maybe.
So they go into this diner. We see that Woodrow is a super brainiac kid. He starts spitting out random facts about their drive. And we see the three girls, they get called princess, and they explain that they aren't princesses. They're witches, a half alien, half mummy, half vampire, and one's a fairy.
I love it. My kids do the same stuff, and it's so funny.
Yeah, these girls are so cute.
They are really cute.
They're
and the waitress is like, "You want some strawberry milk?"
It's like, how about strawberry milk?
What?
Yes, please. We didn't realize we had that option.
And Dad's smoking in the restaurant.
Yeah.
It's great.
Just the good old days.
The good old days.
You could get cancer in restaurants. We hear a giant explosion, and we learn that there's an atomic bomb testing going off.
It's just another bomb test. Don't worry about it.
And in 10 years, they're all going to die of some sort of cancer. Augie takes a picture of it, and later we see the picture, and it's just a hilarious shot of what looks to be a miniature mushroom cloud. But it's like a stop motion type of mushroom cloud, though, which is really great. And it's the mixture of everything, like miniatures, stop motion, and real life, is just so pleasing.
Yeah, it is very pleasing. Everything about this town is pleasing to the eye.
Yeah, exactly. Then we meet Matt Dillon, the car mechanic. He explains the situation with the car. There's two possible fixes. One is an easy fix, and it will cost them $10 and take 10 seconds. And then there's a second fix that takes a lot of time. They have to completely disassemble the car, and it'll cost a lot of money, and it probably won't work because the last time they tried it, they had to strip the car for parts, and it's sitting right next to the mechanic's shop. So he attempts to fix the car. He puts it's this little screw that he puts on. It's perfectly shot. It's so tiny and hilarious. He screws it on, starts the car, and it goes. He's like, "Oh, I think you had the first problem." And then the tires explode. The car just like blows up essentially. Yeah. And something falls out of the bottom of the car.
Yeah, it's this weird robot like thing. It's just jumping around.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, catalytic converter or whatever those things are.
I don't think a catalytic converter, I think they're very tiny. It's like a piece of uranium.
Oh.
That like turns your exhaust. It almost like filters exhaust. I'm not sure. I'm not a mechanic, and I'm totally talking out of my ass right now.
Well, if you need any, just head to our X account. So if you need if you're having car trouble, just let us know and we'll send Jason right on over.
Oh, no, you won't. We'll break it.
And so Matt Dillon walks down. He says, "I think you have a third problem we've never seen here before."
we only get two problems here.
Yes. And we cut to Augie. He's calling Stanley, his father-in-law, played by Tom Hanks, who gives an amazing performance. Love him in this. Especially his little speech he has at the end. I can't wait. We see that there's a car chase going on behind him. It's like this hot rod car with flames all over it. Yeah. You got a motorcycle cop and a regular, just like car cop, and they're chasing him. And we see them throughout the film like 5 different times, the same exact chase. It's hilarious. Augie wants Stanley to come get the girls. He explains that he can't go with them because he has to stay for the Stargazers convention, which is, I guess it's like the smartest kids who have these crazy inventions we'll get to.
Super smart.
And it's essentially being held in this giant crater, and it's held by the government. Augie and Stanley, they have this vague conversation about how Augie, whether or not he told his kids something or not. It's obviously about his wife who's passed away. And Augie's like, there hasn't been time. It's like, there's never a time.
But it's been 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Stanley asks if Augie is doing okay. And this is something about Wes Anderson that I love. It's these small moments where the movie's been silly. It's been very deadpan. And because of the way that it's shot, and it's so perfectly shot and symmetrical, that you kind of have lines like this that's just, I don't know.
Because they're on the phone with each other in different places, but it's like they're face to face and they're having this touching moment.
Yeah, and it's been a pretty silly movie so far with very, like, I mean, we just saw the mechanic thing, which is ridiculous. But then there's a moment always in his films like this where Stanley's asked, like, Augie, are you doing okay? And then there'll always be this like little silence between the two before someone says it. It's like in Royal Tenenbaums where the father asks Ben Stiller's character, it's like, are you okay? He's like, it's been a long year, Dad. And it's just like, oh.
That real human connection.
I loved that. And I think that's...
Especially in a time like during COVID. Like,
exactly.
No one can talk to anyone
but
face
that's
to face.
Kind of the... like Wes Anderson being the master of that. I don't know. I'm assuming this is just kind of how he sees the world, right?
Just all these silly moments broken up by real human connections.
Yeah, and like why he likes to shoot his films like this. It's
cool.
He wants control. But it's like, this is how I see the world and feel my emotions, I guess. I don't know.
That's pretty cool.
But
your emotions are cool.
Augie asked if Stanley ever liked him. It's like, well, I always liked you. I just never loved you. But while that's happening, Augie's like, is it just, we've just never connected, right? And Stanley's like, yeah, we're saying the same thing. But Stanley agrees.
Boomers.
I don't even think he's technically a boomer.
No,
I don't know what
I think Augie is.
I think he's considered the greatest generation at this point.
Whatever.
I'm not sure what it is. So Stanley agrees to pick them up. They start cleaning out their car. We see a bunch of cars and a bus pull up. We meet a character named June, who's this, like, I guess, Christian school teacher. We see that she has like 9 or 8 kids or whatever that she's taking care of.
I think there's 10 because they do a count off.
Yeah,
right?
it's 10, I believe. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
And one of the kids like, all right, pray. It's like, I thank God for this bus, this gas. I thank God for the 3 toads I saw. I thank God for the fact that this one girl peed on herself because she said she didn't have to go, but then she actually had to go. It's like, stop. Okay, that's good. It's so funny. We meet Midge and Dinah, who's played by Scarlett Johansson, is Midge. And she's a TV actor, movie actor, and Dina is her daughter, one of her daughters, that is a part of the Stargazers. So she's a brainiac. We also meet a father and son, J.J. Kellogg, that's played by Liv Schreiber. And we have his son, Clifford, who is
a big red dog.
Yes, he's a giant red dog in human form. Clifford's this kid that constantly asks people to dare him to do something. So he's like, do you dare me to eat this hot pepper? He says, don't do it. He immediately eats the hot pepper. Oh, it's so funny. This kid's so weird. We meet the motel manager who's explaining to 2 guests that they have to stay in a tent because he went to replace the electrical system and the whole thing blew up and caught on fire.
That is my fear that I have to do. Because my house needs this.
I know.
And I'm going to set myself on fire.
I got to replace some breakers. And I'm like, it's like, I know how to do it, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do it right. And I'm scared.
Die, and I'm so scared.
But the motel manager is played by Steve Carell.
Rules.
Who is doing a mix between, he's playing his character in The Office if he wasn't a mean jerk. Right? He's not, and if he wasn't dumb. There's just something like all his like sensitive traits and like sympathy and I don't know, customer serviceness from his character in The Office is in this. And it's great. I love him. So good.
Oh yeah. He's amazing.
What's his name in The Office? How am I forgetting this?
In The Office?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
How could I do this?
I've only seen the whole series
Michael,
like 5 times.
Michael Scott.
Yeah.
Come on, Michael Scott. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Make our dreams come true. We see Clifford runs in drinking water. We see a guy named Gay. We see a guy named Montano punching a vending machine. There's this whole wall of insane vending machines we'll get to a little later. And then we see Augie. He's explaining to his kids that their mother got sick and died. He's telling them 3 weeks after she died.
Man.
He goes,
Gosh.
let's say she's in heaven. I don't believe in that, but you do because you're Episcopalian. See, that's like the deadpan comedy, right? It's just he's saying something so serious and very dry.
Oh God,
It's great.
I love dry humor.
He asked if Woodrow knew. He says, I'm not sure, but I think I knew.
Yeah,
I think I knew if my mom died.
Yeah, where do they think that she's been?
I know. I guess they just thought she was away on a trip. I don't know. He explains the grandfather is on his way and that they are going to go stay with him. He has a Tupperware filled with his mother's ashes, or their mother's ashes. One of the girls asks if they're going to be orphans now. Says no, because I'm still alive.
Good joke, Dad.
This silly little laugh. And then he has this whole speech about his mom trying to comfort him when his father passed, but he was apparently too smart for it to work.
Oh, well.
And she goes, because it's like, that's your father there. He's in the stars. He's like, the nearest star is like 5 billion light years away. So I just don't think that's possible. And his mother tells him, it's like, time heals all wounds. He's like, but no, it can't. But it can be a Band-Aid. I thought that was a little sweet line.
I guess, yeah.
And he tells the girls, like, it's like, only Woodrow would understand the concept of time. And like, he's the only one that would know like what 15 minutes actually mean. One of the girls, 15 minutes, 6,200 hours. He's exactly.
Feels that way sometimes.
Mm-hmm. That's how work feels.
Yeah. Oh God, don't give me a story.
And then we cut back to the first time since the beginning. We cut back to the TV production. We're learning how the actor who plays Augie got the role in the film, or in the play Asteroid City that we see as a film. Not complicated. He was there to deliver ice cream, and so he's just kind of hanging around. He goes to the window. He's like, man, it's hot in here. Do you think we can open this window? And Conrad Earp, who's the writer of the play, is like, that one sticks a little bit. So Augie just like, it punches out the window. Or the actor that plays Augie.
We need this loose cannon on set.
It's so funny. He's like, you just broke my window. And so he's in there, and he's there to try to get a part in the play because he's also a performer, and he was in a play before this. And he asked a question about a scene that we will see later in the film, and he asked, why did Augie burn his hand on a burner? Or I guess it's a cooking griddle.
Oh no, they had a really silly name for it.
Yeah, I think it was like cooking griddle. Or
Man.
I have it written down a little later. I just didn't write it down here. And Conrad Earp goes, I don't know. It just happened while I was writing. And the character who plays Augie is like, I figured he did so so he had a reason for his heart to be racing. And Conrad was just like, that's a good line. Maybe I'll have him say that. And then because the character that's playing Augie, he's just kind of rooting around his little bookshelf. And I think Conrad Earp's just like, or maybe not. I don't know. You're not really responding to me, so never mind. But so he does this play. He does a scene from the play, Asteroid City, and he gets the role. And then the two kiss.
And that happened.
It's random. It's like, okay. So
that's how movies work.
This is where I started.
Like a handshake.
This is where I started getting confused. I was like, what does this have to do?
Oh, this is where you.
Yeah.
This part. Okay.
This part where well,
about your sexuality.
No.
Okay. Oh.
It's where I was like, what does this, why did they show this, right? Because it really makes no sense. And if you're not paying attention very closely, it's like, okay. But because at first I was like, I don't know, like, are they just randomly throwing in like two guys kissing and they have a relationship or whatever? But I think it means, well, it's that they have a relationship together, but I also think it's something about a writer being in love with their own character.
Oh,
It's like, that's why he's like
that's deep.
so willing to kiss them and stuff. It's like, oh, I'm seeing my character come to life right in front of me. Which later on, as we get through, we'll see that has a lot to do with the movie. And also think the scene of him punching the window is exactly what Augie in the play
Would have
Asteroid
done.
City. I think it's similar to him putting his hand on the cooking griddle.
It is.
He wanted a
yeah.
reason for his heart to be racing. And then
Man,
we're back to the film.
That's wild.
Yeah.
You're just making me think things.
Yeah,
right now.
bro. I really wanted to figure out what the hell this movie was about.
You got a fire extinguisher in here? Like I got smoke coming out of my ears.
Ooh-wee. Well, you actually don't have ears because I blew your mind earlier.
Oh, Professor Movie, I love you.
No. That's my name, Professor Movie. So we're back to the film. We see a band of cowboys. They missed their bus.
Your voice changed,
Yeah.
Professor Movie. I like it.
We see a car. The car chase is still happening. Augie takes a picture of Midge. He's like, "You took a picture of me." Uh-huh. Why? I'm a photographer. You didn't ask my permission. I never ask
usually
your
don't.
permission.
Yeah.
Why not? Because I worked in trench fields and combat zones. Really? So you're a war photographer?
He's seen some shit.
Mostly. I don't know why I wrote down that whole dialogue there.
No, it was cool. Like, I mean, it's kind of you never really hear about those types of people, except like there's that movie Full Metal Jacket where that is like the guy's a photographer,
Mm-hmm.
and like you don't really hear about like
We'll have to do that film eventually.
that one's really good.
Love that movie.
Yeah, but anyway,
Yeah. Well, it's the meet cute, right?
it is.
The
Yes,
meet cute.
I thought the meet cute was when with the whole full frontal nudity.
That's the meat. Hot.
That's the hot meat.
Wow. And the podcast award goes to Jesse for the stupidest line he's ever said in his life. Why do I do like a 1920s voice? I go to it almost every podcast. I don't get it.
You got to sometimes.
Yeah. But we see Dinah. She is sitting next to Midge. She's like looking over at Woodrow, making eyes at him. Woodrow is very like, oh, zoinks. And so Midge says, she's asking like, what are you going to do with the picture? It's like, I might sell it to magazines and stuff. Midge says, make me a print first to make sure that she approves. And we learn that Augie has been hit with shrapnel. That's why his hair is kind of weird, like in the back and also the front. Like it looks like he's got a wig on.
Yeah.
But he like turns around and he's like, oh, there's some shrapnel. Like where you got hit with some shrapnel. And then we are at maybe my favorite part of the movie. It's the opening ceremony at of the Stargazers.
Yeah, they're giving away the awards and stuff.
But they're in the middle of the crater and like we see the meteor on the ground
There's
with like
this
a giant
tiny little thing.
this like cage
And
over
this
it.
giant like crater.
Yeah,
And
and it's this tiny little asteroid. And there's a giant sign behind them that says, "Welcome from the United States Military Science Research and Experimentation Division of Ann Larking's Foundation."
That's a mouthful.
I love it. This part is we're meeting General Gibson, who's played by Jeffrey Wright, one of the best actors.
Yeah, it's great.
I guess most notably recently, he's Detective Gordon in the Batman movie.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's for you nerds out there. And he has this
Gross.
awesome speech. I love this part so much because he's explaining his life up to this point like a book, and he's got little, I don't know, movements and stuff that go, I don't know, Jeffrey Wright's. I could just watch this scene over and over. Every time it gets to it, I'm like, this is my favorite part.
It's really good.
And he has this awesome line where he's talking about the kids and he's telling them, if you wanted to live a long and quiet, peaceful life, you picked a wrong time to be born. That's my speech. And it's funny, before he starts doing the speech, it's like, and everybody will get a copy of my speech at the end of the program.
Yeah. That's a great way to end a speech, too.
Yeah, I
and
know.
that's my speech.
And that's my speech. Love it. So great. And we see the kids' inventions. We see that Cho has a jetpack. Clifford has a ray gun. Dinah has a botanical acceleration machine. Sadly, it makes all vegetables toxic.
Yeah, it's super cool, though, because that plant grows fast.
Yeah. Shelley Borden, who is the girl from It, she has...
Scary clown with
She
teeth.
did like a mineral fabrication. It's like an extraterrestrial mineral that's going to now be in the periodic table.
Yeah, she like discovered something new.
Yeah,
That
she
was crazy.
essentially created a new element, I guess.
Super
Woodrow
genius.
has astronomical imaging, which can essentially project pictures or whatever he wants up on the moon.
On the moon. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It might have some...
It may have applications of interstellar advertising.
Yeah, advertising is great.
That's awesome. And then we meet Dr. Hickenlooper. A real easy name for me to say on this.
I love it.
And she's just talking to everybody, and then the meeting ends, and we see this boxes of lights that are blinking. Woodrow has been noticing it the whole time that she was talking. Goes up to her, and he's like, what does this mean?
Yeah, what does it mean?
And it's like, we're not sure. And Woodrow says, I think it's a date. And she's like, a date? It's like, yeah. Does it always say today? So good.
He just gets it.
Yeah. We see like where everybody's at this kind of lunch, I guess. We see June is missing a kid, Dwight. JJ is talking about how he thinks there's like 0.00002 that there's aliens existing. Steve Carell's handling sparklers to everybody while they're eating. We see Midge and Augie, they're chatting. She's talking about being in a TV production. He's like, how can you see in those glasses? Takes it off. It looks like she's got a black eye, but it's just grease paint because she wants to feel like her character. And Augie's like, how does she get the black eye in the story? She doesn't in the story. It's on the inside. It's supposed to be anyways. Which I think is, just kind of...
That is cool. I mean, it's, yeah.
Well, I
It's
think
neat.
it's this part of the movie meeting with the TV production part of the movie, where I think it's supposed to be the actress who kind of gets
So her in real life, she
yelled
got,
at by like the director and stuff. So I think it's like
So it's
she
her.
never got hit, but,
But it is
inside
her.
it's like she got a
Yeah.
black eye.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that's how I interpret it.
No, I've got a black eye.
I've been interpreting. So
I've got 3 black eyes.
we learn that all the projects belong to Uncle Sam. We see Clifford is really good at a yo-yo. It's like this weird stop motion version of the yo-yo. It's really cool. We see Augie sitting alone and Dinah in the gang of smarty pants. They're like, are you shy? It's like, why are you sitting alone? I'm a late bloomer, so I've been told by my parents. Let's do a personality test. Quick, everybody stare at him. It's true, he is shy.
Kids are so cruel.
Yeah. And he's got like a little thing on his, like where he puts it. What do you call it? This shirt pocket? What do they call that?
Is it like a pocket protector?
Yeah, like a pocket protector thing that says Brainiac on it. Dinah's like, Brainiac, huh? It's like, yeah, my mother made it to be funny. It was funnier then. She was alive then, but now she's dead.
Oh,
Ha ha ha. He shows a picture of her. We see that it's Margot Robbie. And he's asked, when did you lose her? Officially this morning, but I think I already knew.
Oh, man.
Going back to the conversation
This
he
kid's
had
going
earlier.
through some stuff.
Yeah, it's rough. And then Clifford asks if they dare him to jump off the roof. They ask why. Because it's an experiment.
Oh, man. What is your answer to that? Yes.
It's like,
Immediately, yes.
They had no answer. He just does it. And then we're back to the TV program, and we're to the part that I was talking about, where you have the actor that plays Midge is leaving the production. She's followed by the actor that plays Woodrow. You see him running with the train in the background through the windows. And we learn that he has a note from Schubert Green, the director of the play, which we will soon learn that that's played by Adrian Brody. He's got a letter one for if she is mad and one for if she's crying. Woodrow, the actor that plays Woodrow, is supposed to read one of those out loud. She takes both of them and reads both of them. They're both super mean. And then he says there's one that if you're cool and calm that you're supposed to read to yourself. She forces him to read it out loud.
Oh, man. Wow.
And this one is nicer, but we learn that he called her a bitch and broke her glasses. But explains that this will be one of the best things you've ever done that no one will remember. But they couldn't imagine doing the play without her. We learn that they are like brother and sister and have never been anything other than that, except for the first time they met when they had sex.
Oh, okay.
But have agreed to never do that again.
I think I've seen that video.
She agrees to come. What? Okay, step bro. She agrees to come back to the play, but she loves the actor that plays Woodrow so much that she forces them to give him the role of Woodrow because he's just an understudy. So what's your name, understudy? And then we're cutting back to the movie and we see a machine that makes a cocktail.
Yeah, that's sweet.
So cool. I love these vending machines.
Yeah.
We see there's a conversation between the three kids, and we also see that the manager's there. They're talking about how smart their kids are, but also like complaining about each other's kids. And then Steve Carell's characters, they're strange, aren't they? Compared to normal people.
They're all strange.
They're like, all the parents are like, yes, they are.
Kids are weird.
And then we see that all the Brainiac kids, they're all playing a memory game. Have you ever played this game before?
No.
I did when I was younger. And
it's just name people?
You have to, so it's a memory game. So usually you select whatever you want to remember.
I mean, yeah,
you can pick animals, you can pick movies, anything, but they decide to pick people in real life and they pick the most complicated names ever to pick.
Scientists and famous people like Nobel Prize winners.
Yeah, exactly. Like magicians that have, or like people that have like, there's like 4 people with the exact same name and they have to pick which one.
Well, we always just played the one where like there's a frog and a log in the bottom of the sea.
I've never played that one.
Song?
Oh, no. Okay. Well, I've heard of that song now thinking about it. Yeah. But like we learned that one of the kids say, I don't think this game works with us. We're different. But the girl that's in the film It says, I actually don't mind because I'm not able to play this with normal kids. Yeah. And
no one wants to play these games with
all these kids are finding
they're finding each other, their group, their people.
Cute.
Yeah. It's cool. Yeah.
And so
I went to when I was in middle school, I got put on a math team.
Ooh.
Like a statewide math team.
You're such a brainiac. You read encyclopedias and you're on a math team. He's so impressive.
I was. And
handsome
we went to this math
smart.
team. We were the dumbest group at the math competition.
Never mind that.
These kids were these while we were waiting for the competition to start, the other kids were practicing their Mandarin.
Wow.
And we were like,
that's when your teacher should be like, so we're done? Should we end this now? Is there any reason for this?
We need to bow out gracefully now.
Can we just go home? Give us 4th place and we'll leave now. We won't waste anybody's time.
Right. Yeah, we shouldn't have been there.
Wow, anyway. That's crazy. So are you good at math?
No.
Were you ever good at math?
I was better than the other kids. In my class.
I was better than the other kids that didn't even know how to talk or read.
I was mediocre, and that was pretty good.
Oh, that's hey, at least you could put that on some sort of resume.
Nope, can't do that.
Okay. Yes, I came in last place in a math competition.
Yeah, if there was anything lower than last place, that was it. That was us.
So we're cutting to June. She's looking for Dwight. He's hanging out with a bunch of cowboys and smoking a cigarette.
That was awesome. Yeah. I love this so much.
Montana explains to June that, like, we didn't give him the cigarette. He got it out of the vending machine.
Yeah.
And the two of them there's a close-up shot of Montana who looks scared, and there's an underneath shot of June making her look powerful over Montana. It's great. But they're making she's mad and he's scared, but there's obviously some sort of chemistry there. You can tell they like each other. We see Midge is practicing her line in the room in her own little cottage, I guess. Is that what you would call them?
Yeah.
And it's just right across from Augie. And
And
Augie,
hers has like this giant window.
yeah, it's this
for
huge
her to
window.
perform. Her,
Yeah,
her
I know. It's great because this scene, it's like
oh yeah,
frames within
it's really great.
frames within frames. I don't know. I think it's cool.
It is really cool.
And Augie shows her the picture that he developed of her. She approves. They continue talking. They're like just staring deeply at each other. She talks that it's like, oh, I have a nude scene. Do you want to see? It's like
No.
he's just staring at her. Did I say yes? I meant to say yes, but my mouth didn't
I meant
say
to
it.
scream yes.
And she does the scene from her, and it's just like this 2-second shot where she drops the towel.
Super
and
awesome.
she talks about it's like it's gonna be tastefully done. When I drop the towel, they're gonna cut to the back of my legs, which they do in this, but there's a mirror in front of her. And it's wild that this is a PG-13 movie and not rated R, even though it showed full
We've
frontal
come
nudity.
a long way as a human race.
Pretty wild.
I love it.
I wonder what they cut out of this to make it allowed to be a PG-13 movie.
It's just
Maybe like 2 seconds away of her naked body.
CGI nudity. It's
Yeah.
not real, so it's
It's
okay.
a body double. I don't know.
Yeah, they put male nipples on her over her nipples.
Oh,
so
and that
it
makes
it cool.
That makes it okay.
It makes
okay.
it okay. Yeah.
Gotcha. And so she's starting to put like a robe on. He has to take another picture of her, and she does this little pose. And she's like, "I thought you never asked permission."
Oh,
And
got you there, Augie.
she says she likes to play abused and tragic women because she will probably end up one. She'd probably actually end up one, but she's actually a very talented comedian.
Yeah.
He explains that he's a widow, but don't tell my kids. And she's like, I wasn't going to. Why would I? It's like, oh, never mind. I'm sorry. It's like they barely know. It's so
God.
They just barely know.
Oh,
That's
jeez.
so funny. And then we cut to Montana, who's asking about the real estate machine. And you can essentially buy real estate, but you only own the stocks of the real estate. And it's like a 50-year loan, essentially. It's like, what?
Sounds like a good investment.
Yeah. And you have the 3 girls. They're trying to bring their mother back to life by burying her in the ground
Super
and
sweet. I
throwing
love it.
flowers and salt on it and
Gosh,
everything.
I love this.
And then it's like, and mom will bury her and she'll come back to life. God save these bones. It's just said in the most cute way possible.
Oh, I love it.
And then we see
cute.
a car pull up and Stanley arrives. He's talking to the girls. He's just like, I don't want to bury the ashes here. We don't even own like this plot of land to bury them.
Right.
We don't have burial rights here. And they're all like, no, don't do it. Don't. Then one of the girls says, if you torture us, we'll sacrifice you.
Hell yeah.
He's like, well, okay.
All
How about
right.
we leave her here and then tomorrow we'll figure out what to do
We'll
with
put a
her.
pin in that.
Yeah. And then here we are. We're back in the crater. We see that they're there. Everybody's in the crater. They're there to see an astronomical ellipses, which is essentially, she explains it and you'll just be able to see,
Right.
specifically if you wear a box and you have a mirror at the
Yeah.
right place, you'll see 3 dots pop up in the
Which is
box.
weird. That's not how the boxes we have now work.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is, yeah. So I was like, I love this part. It was so neat.
And so if you look up at the sky to see them, for one, you won't see the 3 dots and they'll burn 3 dots into your
Because
eyeballs.
that happened to her.
Yeah.
her corneas were burned.
And as they all put on their little helmets, they're viewing the 3 dots. Everybody thinks it's cool. Dwight says he doesn't see it. He just sees a staple. They turn his box around. And
I only see a staple.
I only see a staple. June turns the box
This is
around.
me.
It's so great.
That is me.
But then a green dot appears. They take the box off. Everything is completely green. And we see that it's a UFO. An
Oh,
alien
so
is appearing
awesome.
out. And it's kind of stop motion. It's great.
Well, you just see the part that's like coming down,
Yeah.
and then you kind of see feet.
You
like
see some
weird,
legs slowly
super
going
weird
one at a
feet
time.
coming
Yeah.
down.
And it's just like a really goofy looking alien.
Oh, best alien.
But he comes out, he lifts the cage off the meteor and it like makes a huge noise. So I'm assuming it's like a 1-ton pound cage. And Augie like takes out his camera and he takes a picture of the alien. The alien just poses with a rock, which looks very similar to the pose that Scarlett Johansson's character was doing, which is funny. And he gets the meteor and just flies off. Jason Schwartzman,
that's so cool.
the alien, stole the asteroid. And then we cut to optional intermission, which is funny in itself. No, this is great, right?
Oh, it was amazing.
This whole scene, the spaceship, the silliness of the alien.
Yeah.
But also, it reminds me of kind of a Steven Spielberg moment of a movie, especially like Third Encounter. Wait.
I don't.
And
Encounters of the Third Kind?
Close Encounters.
Close
Encounters of a Third Kind?
I think I've seen that video too.
Oh my gosh. Close Encounters of a Third Kind. Yeah, Close Encounters of a Third Kind.
Encounter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen it.
Jeez, what'd you do this morning?
I went to work.
How many videos did you watch this morning before you went to work?
These are just
fresh on your mind.
These are from my memory file.
I'm always thinking of this.
I'm pulling these freshly from my Sherlock brain.
Okay. Anyways. So we're back to TV production. It's the first dress rehearsal. We learn about Schubert Green, the director of the play. He's played by Adrian Brody. We see some of the actors and even the Roadrunner being worked on in the background. And we see Maya Hawke. She's getting her dress done. He pulls it tighter. We see an actor that we don't know who it is yet playing the alien. He's putting alien eyes up to him, looking at the camera, and you're like, who is that? Does that look like Jeff Goldblum? I'm not sure yet. And so we learned that Schubert Green has had a relationship with success. It's not really been a great relationship with success. He doesn't seem to be handling it well. We see that he was left by his wife. He lives at the theater that they're doing the play. She comes in. She's like, I want you to sign this. He's like, oh, God. It's like, oh, it's my son's report card. It's like, yeah, what'd you think it was? I thought it was divorce papers. He's like, oh, well, that's coming. They're having their conversation. He walks over to another place on the set and he starts mimicking punching a speed bag randomly. And she's talking. It's like, you don't have to stay here. You can stay at the apartment. It's empty. And he's like, I don't think I should stay alone somewhere that has windows. And he pulls out the UFO that we just saw, but that he has for the play. He's talking about, oh, did you add the green lights? The black and white turns to completely green. But it's a little sweet scene between the two, just learning about this director character. She's like, Clark still loves you. I still love you, but not like before. And then she says that Midge should say a line after she closes the door in the play. He's like, oh, yeah, I might do that. And the wife walks out, closes the door. Goodbye. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to see that in the movie. And we don't see it.
No, I love that honesty filter that Wes Anderson puts
yeah,
on
exactly.
people.
There's something so harsh about his dialogue sometimes where it's just like, we're not pulling punches here.
Yeah, harsh but necessary.
We're gonna say the things that we feel, and we're gonna be very direct about it. But then also have someone miming punching a speed bag. This is very funny. So we're at Act 2. It's the next day. The whole city is being quarantined. The general comes in to read a letter from the president saying they have to figure out if the alien was working with their enemies, like the Russians or China. The kid's like, no, I don't. I guess his son is next to him. He's like, no, I think he was just here for the asteroid. Fitta plans on attacking, and everybody has to be quarantined for 7 days. Well, that sounds familiar. They also have to come up with a cover story so that this doesn't get out to people.
He's just telling people.
Yeah. And we see that they're testing everybody. We see Clifford's hooked up to a machine. He's daring him to. He asks his father, "You dare me to press this button?" One of the kids is saying, "What is it? What do they call the test with the ink blot test?"
Yeah, it's the ink blot test.
And she keeps saying it's like alien on a table. alien in a shower, alien driving a car. It's just everything is an alien. And then you have what's his name? I think it's not Stanley. Steven, I think it's the Asian kid. And the government is pushing. It was like, you don't know what you saw. I know what I saw. It's like, I heard in the 6th grade that you wrote an article about your president. Where were your facts on this? I was 6 years old.
In the 6th grade.
I was in the 6th grade. I love this kid. He's so great. I know what I saw. And we hear an explosion. Clifford press a button. He's being chased by his dad. And then we get to June, who is trying to teach the students about the solar system. She's like, now, not all this may be accurate now due to the fact that we've seen an alien showed up. It's like completely turned her upside down. It's like, I'm just going to continue going with the lesson plans that I had. The kids just keep asking questions about the aliens. And it's like, I thought the alien was sneaky. But actually, I think the alien was just nervous. She's getting rattled with all this. Montana comes up to give them like his opinion about the aliens. He's just like, I figure this here alien come from a tribe we don't know nothing about, do we? Anything we say would just be pure speculation. But I tell you what, I reckon that alien don't mean no harm at all. I reckon he just took himself down here to have a look-see at the land and the peoples on it in the spirit of exploration. See, I don't look on a feller alien all suspicious like. No, he ain't no American. No, he ain't no creature of God's green earth, but he's a creature of somewheres, and so are we.
Man, that is deep.
Now let's show the old feller some hospitality, and if he turns out to be a dirty dog, which I reckon he ain't, well, that'll be a job for the United States Armed Forces, and they ain't never lost no war yet. Thank you, dude.
Wow, man, I loved it.
I know.
That's so good.
Love Montana. Oh, cannot wait till the next time they're singing. We see Woodrow, Dinah, and Dr. Hickenlooper. They're discussing stars and stuff. Dina says Midge has a star named after her. It's like, and she's talking more about Midge. It's like, I love her voice, but I'm tired of her face. She should do radio. Hickenlooper says she thinks she should have had kids. Dinah says that she goes upstairs to look through a telescope with Woodrow and just like turns to Woodrow. Is like, she says, it's like, I think I'd be more comfortable in space. Woodrow's like, whoa, that was hot. We're going to make out, I promise. Augie and Midge talk. He shows the picture of the alien and of her. They look so familiar.
And then they get it. He tries to move the thing, the
telescope,
and it's just like back and forth.
Yeah, it's so funny because he does that like in 2 of his other movies. It's funny. But yeah, Augie and Midge are hanging out. Midge asks, "You feel different?" And Augie's like, "I don't feel anything at all." Midge, me neither. She says she loves her children, but they come second to her. She has because her job comes first, and apparently she has like 2 or 3 other kids from other relationships. She's been in relationships with violent men. It's like her father, her brothers, her uncles. It's like zoinks.
Yeah,
and
big zoinks.
For Augie says the next thing for me is usually a war, and nobody can compete with that. Midge says, I think I know what we are, 2 catastrophically wounded people who don't explore the depths of our pain because we don't want to.
Oh, wow.
And
taken directly
Augie's like,
from the director's cut.
Oh, yeah. Stanley visits Midge during this conversation. We learn that he went to law school with one of her former agents. He's essentially just there to hit on her, though.
Yeah.
The motel manager, played by Steve Carell, which I meant to say earlier was actually supposed to be Bill Murray.
Oh, yeah.
Which I would never forget his name. And but he got COVID and wasn't able to do the film, which is a bummer. But I really like that Steve Carell's in this.
Yeah, me too.
The motel manager shows J.J. Kellogg, played by Liv Schreiber, that the land that he's purchased, he doesn't really own. He just owns the stock in the land. Clifford asks to dare him. And there's this like, yes, I dare you, or I don't dare you. I don't care. And then there's just kind of this pause, which is another, we're essentially getting the Wes Anderson pause before he asks like a deep question that has a deep answer. It's like, what's the cause? What's the point? Why do you do this? It's like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm afraid. Otherwise, nobody will notice my existence in the universe.
Yep.
Steve Carell.
Steve.
Dare you to do what? What do you want to do? They're like, yes, we dare you, please. And he's like, I want to climb that cactus over there. Oh God, please don't. Oh man. Midge is talking to one of the parents played by Hope Davis. She says she's very good in a certain part, and she's like, oh wow, thank you. It's like, I really love that part. It was really good. And Hope Davis is like, I don't know why people didn't like it. It's like, oh, yeah, I don't know either. For whatever reason, the narrator's just standing over, like, off frame, pans over, and it's like, am I not in this? It's like, what? Which that's the one part where I'm like, I don't understand this at all. I will not understand it. Is this just a joke, or does it mean something?
Joke? Does it mean... It's just like,
or if you never go to sleep, will you ever wake up? You know? I don't know.
Yeah, that was cool. Like, is it a real reaction? Like, he just like wasn't prepared for in the story,
or was he just standing on the wrong part? Like, accidentally was standing on stage or something. I don't know. It's weird. But we have Augie, Stanley, and Woodrow. They're all talking about how like their living situation from whenever they leave Asteroid City. But Woodrow's like freaking out about the meteor. It's like, what are you talking about? You took his picture, Dad. Like, yeah, I'm a photographer. And then like Stanley says something about, it's like, you're a Presbyterian, or what does he say? Episcopalian. And he's like, what are you talking about? Episcopalian. Augie and Stanley, they have a moment. This is one of my favorite parts of the movie as well. Stanley decides he's going to help them out as much as possible. We learn that Stanley's wife drank herself to death. Augie's like, what does that have to do with anything? And so Stanley, Tom Hanks' character, has this really great monologue where it's like, in my loneliness, or perhaps because of it, I've learned not to judge people, to take people as I find them, not as others find them, and most of all, to give complete and unquestioning faith to the people I love. And Augie says, please don't help us. We're trying to grieve. And then we get the very, very good part and very Wes Anderson thing, kind of like the I've had a rough year, Dad, where it's a close-up of Stanley. He goes, me too.
Oh,
And I love it. So good. But then, and it's just this long, awkward quiet. And to break the tension, Stanley's like, you can see he's mad because he's trying to help him. And he's like, you're just being a tool. And he just like he just wants to shake him. It's so funny. And Woodrow pops up and he's like, are you planning on abandoning it? Abandoning us?
I was, but
I decided against it. It's like, what? And then you got the three girls just holding like motor oil, staring at during the scene. It's so funny. So good. And then we cut to Clifford. He's asking a guard to allow him to put change in a phone booth because they have guards like blocking all the phones.
They've blocked all outgoing calls.
Yeah, because they don't want anybody to figure this out. But he's explaining that like I made a call earlier and like I was cut off and I didn't get to pay yet, and I just don't want to owe the phone company any money.
Yeah, I feel bad for the phone company.
Yeah. So the guard puts the...
Which I love this guard, too. He's got, like, long, like, Native American braids.
He's definitely, like, a Native American, yeah. And so he puts the change in the phone booth. This allows the Brainiacs to reach the outside so that they can release news about the alien. They're calling the high school newspaper that they're working on, or one of the characters are working on.
Yeah.
And it's like... It calls his house, and a mom picks up.
It's like, oh,
I need to talk to your son, but he's in the middle of his Ovaltine.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be calling if it wasn't important. But then Shelley points out that Woodrow and Dina have a romance brewing. It's like, you guys like each other. It's like, what? No, we don't. No, we're just friends. I don't like her. And they're denying, and she says, I think you're pretty smart. but I think you're pretty dumb. It's a great line. And now it's about to start getting confusing. There's a TV production.
Yep.
We're back to the TV production. We see Conrad is getting together with this other teacher, a teacher who's teaching these kids, I guess, about plays or whatever, right? And they need help. William Dafoe plays the other teacher, by the way, and we see in the audiences there's people that are in the play. So he's explaining that he needs help writing a scene because he's having writer's block, and it's supposed to be a scene between where at the end of Act 2 everybody goes to sleep and everybody's having a dream scene together. And so it's supposed to be he needs help writing it, and they're talking about it's like, what can we do? Has anyone ever actually fell asleep on stage before? And we also, I think this is the part that we meet Schubert Green. Like Schubert Green comes in, he's talking about,
like, I fell asleep one time when I was laying down for hours.
It's like, did you miss your cue? No.
No, I almost did.
But this is a really great scene. I love William Dafoe and Adrian Brody's chemistry in this. And so he's talking about, I need everybody to fall asleep in improv, essentially the lines. Everybody falls asleep. One guy stands up and is sleepwalking. Everyone's just like down in their seats. It's so great. And then Conrad starts explaining everything before Act 3 about, where everybody's at in the film. And we cut to Act 3 and it's 1 week later. Sorry about my dog, y'all, but he just wants to be in the podcast. And due to the leak of the alien photo, there are now a bunch of tourists. It's essentially like a carnival outside. Everybody's trying to sell things. Ricky, the Asian kid that also made the phone call calling about
the newspaper. Yeah.
We see that he's in trouble. General Gibson comes in and is like, this just in from the president. He's furious. So funny. And then they're pressuring Ricky, and this is where he says, this tribunal is a mockery. We see June is talking to the kids. The government is about to explain everything on a CCTV. And Matt Dillon goes, everything is connected, but nothing is working.
Yeah, they can't get it to work.
And the kids are explaining that how they drew the aliens and what they drew.
Oh, yeah, that was cool.
how he drew the aliens, whatever. And then Dwight says he wrote a song. And June's like, we don't have time to do it now. But Montana comes in. Well, we've actually kind of helped
They bring
him.
the whole band in.
We actually heard Dwight had a song, and we came here to help him play.
They kind of recreate that scene where he was sitting there smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
They have all their instruments.
It's so good.
They got hay bells.
It's funny because Dwight pops up. He's in a prayer. Alien, art in heaven. It's like, are you friend or are you foe or are you
it starts out
other?
Cool. Yeah.
Step on one foot, step on two.
It's just hoedown time.
And I love it because everybody starts playing, then June starts just whatever, starts twirling her dress. Montana starts dressing with her, and then it cuts to the CCTV, and you just got 5 people and they're just watching. Yeah,
they can see what's going on.
Oh, it's so good. We see Augie and Midge. They're rehearsing a scene together. She says, they start doing a scene together, and she's laying in the bathtub with pills all around her. She's pretending
because she mentioned this earlier.
She's supposed to be dead in the tub for some reason, and so he starts reading. She's like, no, you got to read it with more intensity. Use your grief.
Yes.
So he starts saying it a little bit better, and he goes, it says I should smash everything off the shelf. It's like, well, then smash everything off the shelf. He starts smashing his red light.
He's pretending to smash things, and then he breaks the red light.
Yeah. She's like, use your grief. It's such a sickening waste. Think of the people. Think of the places you could have seen Dolores. And he's like, wait, is she a ghost in this scene? Because aren't you dead? But she's also talking, so it's like, what is this? He's like, oh crap, my sandwich is burning. Midge talks about how Dinah saw them while they're in the room together. He's like, well, did you tell her that we were rehearsing? He's like, no, I couldn't think of it at the time. So, like, this is where we're learning that Augie and Midge are actually in a relationship together. They have a sexual relationship. He's like, is she going to tell Woodrow? Like, I don't know. But she doesn't really keep secrets.
So, yes.
And she's like, she says to Augie, this isn't the start of something. And Augie's like, is it? And she's like, well, I don't know. Maybe it is. I'm like, no, it isn't. And he says, I don't like, starts talking about the alien. He's like, I don't know. I don't like the way the guy looked at us. She says, what guy? The alien. Looked at us like we were doomed. And she goes, maybe we are. And then that's when he burns his hand on the cooking.
Like everybody
is the cooking griddle. That's what they called it, the cooking griddle.
Like everybody is just like transposing their feelings upon this alien who did absolutely nothing.
I know. Well, I mean, this is what we think like if we actually saw aliens, what people would act like. But realistically, now we're just like whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a guy saying there's aliens. Okay, but like, what is Donald Trump doing? That's what we care about, not aliens.
I'd rather talk about aliens. Yeah. I don't know. I wish there were fucking aliens.
Right.
Right now.
But Augie says, I burned my head on the cooking griddle. And Midge asks why. He said, I'm not sure yet. Because they don't know in the play.
Oh, because wasn't it, he says, why does, because he's like reading from the script. He's like, why does he burn his hand on the cooking griddle?
Yeah. But
after
like,
he did it.
It's like, but they don't know yet. So we're cutting to the army men. They're shooting pictures of aliens. The parents and Stanley are all shooting at the ray gun, like at the
yeah, they're like shooting balloons and stuff.
They're all debating like, how can we leave? And then all the army men come up and say like, where'd you get the weapons? You're not supposed to have the weapons. They have a little standoff. The driver's like, come on, give me all you got. I dare you. We see the Brainiacs are playing a memory game. They're like really deep into the memory game now. Hickenlooper.
And then one girl's like, maybe I should start over.
Yeah. Hickenlooper is noticing that all her equipment has been stolen or been put in this tent. And it's like, what are y'all trying to do? Like, oh, we're trying to chat with the alien. It's like, well, I understand that, but I want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
It's like, don't y'all want me to be a part of this? And
because they're kind of trying to hide it from her.
Yeah, they're trying to hide it from everybody because they don't want anybody to know.
Man.
They don't want them to take the stuff away. And we learned that they want to put something on the moon to send a message to the alien. They're like, should we put a star on it? A star on the moon? That doesn't really make sense. Exactly. It's like, it's great. So they're like, oh, what are y'all playing? Like the memory games. Like, all right, well, come with me, Woodrow. And they go into the tent. It says like, no matter what, you're doing great. Everything you guys are doing is important. And then she asks him to be his protege. And then she's like, whoa. And then she says, sorry about his mother. And it's like, I lost my mother too, 47 years ago. And I think about it every day. And then Woodrow just kind of does this gulp and he's like, thanks. And it's like, it makes me hurt.
Yeah.
So good though.
It's like, there's prize money. Like, what would you do with the prize money? Probably spend it on my girlfriend.
Oh yeah. That happens like right at the very end. It's so good. And we learned that they may be changing the name of the town to Alien Landing USA. We see Dwight, he has a giant bag of coins, and so he's like interested in investing. They go to give the rewards to the stargazers, and the what is it? The giant check that they're going to give him is like $5,000.
Yeah.
And he's telling that everybody that the quarantine has been lifting it and that they can go home. But during all this, the alien comes back and returns the meteor. General Gibson goes and looks at it and it's like, oh, he inventoried it. So they cancel them canceling the quarantine and everybody starts freaking out.
It's going nuts.
You got Liv Schreiber's character is shooting at the sign. You see Woodrow.
He puts a heart on the moon.
He puts a heart that has Dina and his initials on it, and they immediately start making out. Yeah. It's so funny. And then Augie is talking, and you see Midge there, and he like turns to the camera and is like, wait, what is going on? I don't understand the play. What does any of this mean? Then when he's like exiting the back of the
Yeah, it goes
scene
through
through a
the
door,
door.
and we cut to him, and it's the TV production part now. The narrator's just staring at him, like, "What are you doing?" It's like, I don't understand the play. And he walks by the alien, and we see the alien is being played by Jeff Goldblum. He's like, I'm playing the. It's like, I'm not sure what the alien is. I see him more of as a metaphor. It's like, do you know for what? It's like, no, I don't know. And then Augie goes to talk to the director. He's asking if he is doing it right. Green says he is doing it right. And it's like, Augie has become you. And he's like, do I just keep doing it? Like, yes. Without knowing anything? Yes. He's asking about the meaning of life. He says, I still don't understand the play. It doesn't matter. And then Adrian Brody's like, it doesn't matter. Just keep telling the story.
Oh, wow.
So he walks outside and he sees the woman.
Oh, yeah, they're on those like Romeo and Juliet balconies.
Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to say that there's a point where they say that Conrad Earp was killed in a car accident. Do you remember that part? It's like one of the dream, like whenever they're talking, one of the William Dafoe scenes. The narrator says that the writer of the film or the play died in a car accident. And Augie, or the character that plays Augie, and Conrad Earp were together. So he's supposed to be, throughout this film, we're seeing that he's supposed to be using his grief and pain to play Augie, who has also lost someone close to him.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we get to this scene here where he's going to go talk to his wife inside of the TV production, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah, it's like a Romeo and Juliet thing. And so he sees the woman. It's Margot Robbie. We learn that it's the mother. She's gonna play the mother, but the scene got cut because of time. They perform the scene, and it's a dream scene, and it's where they're on like another planet with the alien or whatever.
Yeah.
And essentially, she's just saying that it's okay to move on through, because he lost the wife. So it's like she asked the wife, saying, "It's okay, you can move on. It's like you don't have to just stay here." And he like takes the picture of her, and it's like. And it cuts to a close up of her, and it's like, how'd it turn out? Good. All my pictures turn out. This is a really emotional scene, and it kind of uses some of the stuff we heard earlier, where Woodrow, is talking about. They're asking if he's shy, and it's like, no, I'm just a late bloomer. They're kind of using that context as an alien.
Oh.
So yeah, I mean, it's essentially just kind of spelling out the film that it's all about. You have to move on from grief and. Like,
so the alien is just like whatever you need it to be.
Yeah, exactly, essentially. Yeah, something like that. Then Matt Dillon walks out and is like, hey, we were also supposed to be in a scene together as well. Oh, cool. But yeah, we learned that 6 months like into the show, Conrad died in a car accident. I just found it in my notes. Cool. And we're cutting to everybody sleeping. And then the actor that plays Augie, like stands up and he's like, you can't wake up if you don't fall asleep.
Yeah.
Then everybody starts repeating it. The alien appears and starts walking it towards it. It's really weird.
It's cool.
And then we're to the epilogue. And everyone is leaving the city. Midge is gone. Stanley wants to unbury the ashes. But the kids are just like, no!
They got a tiny little palm tree.
Yeah. And then the kids are like, let's pray. And so they start praying. They decide to leave the ashes. Stanley asks Woodrow, it's like, do you got anything to say? I don't believe in God anymore. Stanley, fair enough. They stand and watch the girls as they're doing their thing. It's real sad.
Yeah.
We learn Woodrow won the scholarship, but he's going to use it. He's going to use all the money on his girlfriends.
Sweet.
And Midge left Augie her address. Stanley approves of them getting together. It's like, she's actually a very gifted comedian. And then we see the car.
Which is, throughout the whole movie, she doesn't tell a single joke.
Yeah, I know,
really.
right?
She's kind of dry and deadpan.
And then we hear an atomic bomb go off. We see the car chase going by. We hear the Roadrunner. And it's like all the chaos is still happening. And then that's the end of the film.
Yeah, like after they lift the quarantine, everything just kind of continues as normal.
Yeah, everything's back to normal. And
which everything is exactly how it happened.
Yeah.
With the corona thing.
Exactly.
The whole corona thing.
It all happened, and now everybody's just right back to normal.
Right back to exactly the way it was before.
But I don't know. I love this movie. It's like,
It was so good.
It's like about finding your way through life and dealing with grief, even though we're small and meaningless and there's like chaos all around us
Yeah.
all the time. Live in constant fear that for some reason we'll all be destroyed either by ourselves or some sort of alien. But through the people in our lives and that we meet help us get through it all.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
And it's like, I think you can't wake up if you don't fall asleep. I think this is a reference on how Wes Anderson deals with grief through art, maybe.
Wow.
Like movies give you a chance to shut off your brain, shut off your brain and experience something different. And like maybe by watching a movie or a play about grief, you can learn something from it that will help you cope with your own grief.
If you don't try to dream, you can never realize what's really going on.
Yeah, man.
Deep.
We just hit the bomb.
I wish we had.
And but I think like the film, like showing the aliens and the nuke and like these huge discoveries around them, it's like they're more wrapped up in their own personal lives and they aren't taking time to grasp what's around them. Maybe it's like that's a good thing because if you notice like, oh, we're all gonna die because of either an alien or all the nukes, like,
or they have the radiation from the bombs going on
just from
next to us.
I mean, just handling a ray gun would probably be it'd be rough in itself.
Experimental ray gun that a kid made.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. But it's time for our categories.
Oh God.
So this one, first category is the good, the bad, the ugly. And it's where we go through and we talk about the good of the film, which is the good. We talk about something that we didn't like about the film, the bad, and something that didn't age well, as in the ugly. We aren't going to be doing the ugly because the film just came out this year. So we're mainly going to be sticking with the good and the bad. So I want to start with you, Jason. What's a good?
Good.
What's good?
What's good? What do you got that's good? I don't know. I just love the set and the characters and the everything. I don't know.
All of it? Every single bit of it?
All of it was so good. No,
You like the style of Wes Anderson?
I love Wes Anderson's style.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nostalgia and there's a lot of just like human connection. I don't know. It's just really cool to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Personally, for me, I think the good is just, I don't know. I actually think it's funny because I think it's good and bad at the same time. I think the complicatedness of the movie is actually really good, but I also think it's bad because I think most people will watch it and be like, that was stupid. I didn't understand what was going on. But if you
makes you think.
If you keep diving into it, it's like, wow, this movie is so smart and funny and I love it. But yeah, I guess the good for me is just, I don't know, the way that he decided to construct the story.
Yeah.
Right? He's always creative in that way. What's your bad?
God, I don't know.
You bad.
I don't really know if I have a bad. I just had a really great time watching this movie.
Yeah.
Just such a joy.
Yeah, I'm trying to actually think of a bad as well. I guess the bad for me is it's like maybe Montana should let the teacher teach.
They had a kid smoking a cigarette. That's the bad.
Smoking is bad.
Smoking's
That's the bad.
For kids.
Can't wait to get off this podcast to go vape. All right, so give me a double feature to pair with this film.
Oh man, basically any other Wes Anderson film. Because you're not really going to capture, like, if you just want more weirdness, you're going to want to watch another one of his films.
Yeah, I'd say if you're going to go with the Wes Anderson film, I will say probably just start with Royal Tenenbaums. You'll know all the actors. You probably love all the actors.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And it's dealing with loss of a wife.
Yeah.
Stuff like
that.
Also,
even the
3 kids.
Death of a father.
Yeah. So, and my double feature would actually be a movie that came out this year, Beau is Afraid.
Beau is Afraid.
Yeah, it's by the guy that did Hereditary and Midsommar.
Ooh,
Ari Aster.
Both really good movies.
Yes, it stars Joaquin Phoenix. Nailed it. Didn't take forever. And it's a very weird movie. It's very stylistic. It's crazy. Like crazy. And it's all about dealing with guilt and grief.
Cool.
And I think if you want to get weird again, it's a 3-hour-long movie, so you have to clear out your whole afternoon or morning.
I love getting weird.
But it's so good and crazy, and you might not understand it. Similar to this movie.
But that's why we have Jesse.
Yeah.
Professor Movie here.
Yeah. Hello, I am Professor Movie.
Let me get my pen out of my pocket for a second.
I'm Dr. Movie. My analysis is you're dying of movies. So I don't know. So, next week,
Best in Show.
we recommend
One
Best
of
in
my
Show.
favorite movies ever.
Get ready for one of the best Jennifer
So
Coolidge's
funny.
performances ever. Eugene Levy. So many people
It's a
in this
good
movie.
movie for people who like dags.
If you like dags, if you like animals, if you like cats.
Dags and
not-
the weird
it's not
people who
cats.
own dags.
Yeah, it's a mockumentary style movie. You'll love it. You most likely have seen it. It's one of the best movies ever.
So amazing.
But yeah, so we'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us
Thank you
this
so
week.
much for listening.
You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. You can just head over to our link tree, which is linktree/We Recommend Podcast if you want to quickly find your way there. And also if you want to listen to us on a different platform. We'd also like to thank Joey Prosser for our intro.
Thank you, Joey.
Yes, he's
And
great.
Casey Kidd for the shout out.
Yeah,
Also, yeah.
it's Kamikaze Kid. But you can follow Joey on X at Mr. Joey Prosser. And I believe No Subs, No Dubs. No Subs, No Dubs.
No sub, no dubs.
No Subs, No Dubs also has a Twitter/X. And you can find them at No Subs, No Dubs Pod. But yes, give them a listen. Kamikaze Kid. You know, he's back in this bitch or whatever. His little theme was.
That's what we call this podcast.
Yeah.
It is
That
our
would-
bitch.
That would be a pretty good podcast name, actually. But no, please go support them. Keep supporting us, and we'll see you next week for Best in Show. This has been We Recommend. I'm Jesse.
I'm Jason.
Bye.
Bye.